Hi, hello, how are you? This is Matthew with another Love Tip Live from LoveBudi. Running a little bit late today, quite a bit late, because there was a power outage. Basically, the city turned off the power, and we had no Wi-Fi, we had no fast internet connection, and we had no power for my computer. So, running late tonight, and but we're still live, and I just wanted to share with you some interesting notes that you might be interested in about cults. So just a quick 7 to 12 minutes here, we're going to chat, and I want to share about cults because I've been in quite a few. And I remember my father, actually, comes to mind. My father was born and raised Catholic, very conservative Catholic. My brother became a Jehovah's Witness when I was a kid. I was about 13, 14. And he invited my father to go to one of the meetings. And in one of the meetings, by coincidence, was somebody who was kind of speaking out of turn a little bit. They were speaking kind of extreme, in extreme ways, somewhat disrespectful. And by incredible coincidence, that that day's talk had happened to be about the Catholic Church. Could you have any worse luck if you're my brother? You're trying to introduce, your father to your new religion, because my father was very closed-minded, in my opinion. I mean, he wasn't open at all. I mean, the Catholic Church was everything to him. He had decided that. Then there was no discussion. One of the things that can make a group a cult is not being willing at all to consider other alternatives. So you're kind of locked in. And you get locked in by a constellation of circumstances. I was in Scientology. Scientology is absolutely, no doubt in my mind, is a cult. I was Jehovah's Witness for 5 years as well. Scientologist 5 years, Jehovah's Witness 5 years. Absolute cult. A lot of Christian groups are cults. A lot are not. The ones that are more flexible, the ones that are more open-minded, the ones that are more embracing, they're not cults because, well, they don't exhibit the qualities of a cult. So let's go through just some of the qualities of a cult. We don't have all the time, but I've got to tell you something. The foundation of my understanding of love, a huge part of it came from my experience in religions and in cults, because they are a beautiful, perfect, poetic example of hypocrisy. They say, oh, we're going to do this, we're doing this for you, we're fighting this horrible. I mean, that's another thing I forgot to write down, but it's another obvious aspect of a cult, and that is they have a mission. Got to be on a mission. And this mission is, the world's going to end or whatever, something like that. Jehovah's Witnesses, they claimed, I think it was probably at least 7 times in writing, that they said that the world was going to end. That was what they got. That was a revelation they got from God. I mean, if that doesn't make you question everything else they have to say, I mean, if you're going to be wrong about that, what could you be wrong about that would be less important, or that could be more important than something like that? So therefore, if you're going to make such a big mistake like that, maybe you're making other mistakes at the same time. So what we want to do is, what we want to say is, love, we don't want to be judgmental, and I'm not here to be judgmental to people. I'm not here to put people down, criticize their sacred beliefs, their sacred religion, their tender hearts. That's not what this is about. But what this is about is standing up for the truth. And this is about releasing people from fear of some horrible, evil, non-existent entity. Scientology is nothing like Christianity. It's not really religion at all. It's a business. But it works because they can claim that it's a religion. They take everything about the business and they twist it into saying it's religious, as if there are ministers there. There's not there are, and not anything like any minister that you'll meet in any real church, any regular. It's not that other churches are better just because they've got a cross outside, or just because they're working towards that tax-free status, right? So anyway, let's start looking at the aspects of a cult, some of the aspects. Try to leave. Try to leave Christianity, or try to leave Jehovah's Witnesses. When I tried to leave Scientology, they came to my house. When my girlfriend, who I was evil enough to get her involved and got her stuck in that, we've long since split. I feel bad about that, but I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I thought I was helping her out. No help whatsoever to her. Anyway, they went by her house and bugged her a lot too when she tried to leave. And all you have to do is watch TV and see the specials exposing Scientology, how they come and hunt you down, how they intimidate you. It's brutal, man. Try to learn, number 2 here, second one, try to learn about your own, the group that you're in, from an external source. Okay? Go on the internet. If you're a Baptist, for example, go to a Methodist and say, what do you think of Baptists? What do you know about them? If you're in Scientology, go to somebody who has quit Scientology. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, go to somebody who's a Catholic, or go to somebody who's used to be a Jehovah's Witness. I know this stuff firsthand because I was one for years, and I threw my heart and soul into some of these different religions thinking it was the right thing to do. So I know both sides. I know what it's like to be hypnotized by the religion, and I know what it's like to leave. I know what it's like to look back. And as an insider, knowing what goes on in behind closed doors, knowing what people say, how they behave, what they do. Try to challenge. Here's another way to find out if you're in a cult or not. Try to challenge them. If you're trying to challenge them and say, wait a second, you mean the earth has only been here 6,000 years? Well, what about this? What about the fossil record? What about this? Whatever else you might say, they just dug up something in Israel. Was it Israel? And another place too, like 15,000 years old, just pottery and stuff like that. Okay, maybe sometimes the carbon dating system is not 100% accurate, but all the scientists in the world, there's a consensus there that the Earth has been around a little bit longer than 6,000 years. I don't know if it's 250 million or what, but it's a long time. Anyway, try to challenge some of the things that they're telling you and see how upset they get. See how politely they treat you. See how open-minded they are. If they're closed-minded, if they're adamant, if they're rude to you, if they're disrespectful, if they prevent you from discussing in an honest way from your heart, look, I'm wondering because this doesn't make sense to me. This isn't working for me. You're telling me this, but I know this to be true, or I've heard that this is true. If you can't freely do that and feel like you're embraced as a human being, regardless of the challenges that you throw out on the table, you're in a cult. That's another example of a cult. Now, there are cults that'll kill you if you try to leave, and then there's cults that it's just kind of, they keep you in. Just the coercion is not so extreme. Here's another one. Huge stick. Okay, huge stick. If you don't do this, as Scientology, for example, they want to clear the planet. What the clear the planet basically means is make everybody mentally healthy. But if you've ever met a Scientologist, they're not mentally healthy. So whatever they're claiming to share, they don't have. They're not doing themselves. But if you don't clear the planet, we're going to lose the great ingenious work of L. Ron Hubbard. Now, the guy, I'll tell you, mad genius. Maybe Jeffrey Dahmer was a genius too, or maybe maybe there are geniuses that are absolutely insane sociopaths too. So that's not saying a lot about L. Ron Hubbard, but what I will say about the guy is, what a mind. What a fantastically interesting, fascinating mind. And don't listen to him. I mean, don't do anything the guy says. But he was a wonderful speaker. He was a wonderful dictator. He was so creative to make that religion so powerful. And he really did one incredible, great job. And I would say he was kind of a sociopath at the same time. But anyway, his his stick was, look, we gotta clear the planet. We gotta, spread Scientology. Scientology's dying, by the way, for good reason. But we've got to handle the planet. Otherwise, it's all gonna go to hell, basically, speaking figuratively. And there's the carrot that you're gonna be a super powerful being. You're gonna be completely able to move things with your mind and fly to distant planets and all kinds of stuff. When I was in Scientology and I was receiving their counseling, I recalled things that happened a long time ago. I had some really, because I believed it and because there was some really interesting things going on there, I got stuck in that. I got trapped in. There's some really interesting, wild things happened when I was in Scientology. So, doesn't mean that it's love. It doesn't have the power of love. Losing contact. If you quit, what happens? What happens when you quit a cult? Try to quit a cult. Okay, well, I lost. My brother got me into Jehovah's Witnesses, and then after that, he hasn't spoken to me for 40 years. 40 years hasn't spoken to me. 40 years, because I quit the cult. When I quit Scientology, I was declared, I was labeled a suppressive person, a person who's evil and bad, and they gave me a bill for all of the time that they wasted on me. So I was evil and everybody that I knew that was in Scientology, I mean, they'll get in big trouble if they talk to me. If we're friends, if we hang out, if we have a cup of coffee together, those guys will get in big trouble. So this is one of the things that happens, when you lose contact. I can't speak with the other members of my family, 6 kids in my family. I can't speak with my 3 sisters because they are, I speak with them, yes, and they are very kind unless we're talking about religion. And then forget it. And that's somewhat understandable. Because they really hold their ideas. They hold their gods, Jesus and his father, who I think they believe are one? No, maybe not. Anyway, I can't remember. I should know. But anyway, they hold it so damn sacred that an open discussion about, the foundation and the practice and the viability or the value of actually what they're devoting their lives to is off the table. We can't talk about it. So we don't talk about it. So we kind of, lose that part of our relationship. But that's okay. At least we're still connected. We're getting along. Treatment inside the cult. This is the last one because we got to wrap it up here. Treatment inside the cult. Is it loving? Is it accepting? Inside the group, let's say that before we label it a cult, we don't want to be unfair here. Is it true that there's love there? Because to me, that's what I look at. I look at love. I'm not talking about some twisted, perverted, sick, sociopathic concept of love. I'm talking about the obvious, evident, natural, normal, healthy love, where you're compassionate, you're kind, you're forgiving, you're understanding, you're kind, you're polite, you're open, you're embracing, not getting all pissed off, acting like a jerk to people. When you believe in love, believe it or not, nothing is sacred. Nothing is so sacred that you're going to get all offended, get all pissed off, and be unloving to somebody because they say, I don't believe what you believe, or they make some joke about something or whatever. People who really know love, okay, great, fine, whatever, I had a guy send me a note the other day. I was sharing the LoveBudi website with him. I sent him a message because he's been my friend on Facebook for years, and he said, you're full of shit. This is bullshit. You're a con man. You're a con artist. And I didn't get upset. I was like, look, you're really hurt. You're really hurt. Now, you want to know what love is, give you a free copy of my book. You can see, we can talk about it, but nothing doing. He was really, really angry, really, really pissed off. So when you see this anger, this hate, these threats, when people are worshiping a God that's going to torture you and murder you, that's really a problem, you know. That can really cause a lot of problems. So we don't want to follow a group, follow a leader, get involved in some group that doesn't have love, compassion, understanding, kindness, empowering, nurturing, these obvious qualities of love. Don't get involved in any group that doesn't have that. I'm talking about a job too, because sometimes jobs, people get into these multi-level marketing things. Some of those can be cults, man. And they drag you so far away by weaknesses, you know, greed and fantasy. They pound on that all the time. And suddenly you're forgetting that your friends should be your friends, not your customers. And that our goal is to love each other, not to exploit, not to get rich, not to get super rich for doing nothing and have the goal to do nothing. Passive income. Okay, it's one thing to leverage your time and your energy, okay. And especially because we're living in a money-based economy, money-based world, but at the same time, businesses, jobs, friendships, groups, they can be cults too. All right, that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate it. Been a long day, and I apologize for being late. We'll catch you the next time, 10 a.m. China time and 10 p.m. New York time. I'll be here and talking about love, sharing love, hoping that you're having a love-filled life, hoping that you're having a wonderful time of it. It's a wonderful adventure. Life is a wonderful opportunity. I'm so grateful to be here. I love you, and I thank you for you being you. And I'll see you next time. So take care. Until then, bye-bye for now.